I'm going to call this meeting to order. It is the regularly scheduled meeting for November 27th. The time is 7:30. Clerk, can you please do a roll call? Oh,
Hello?
okay. Is this better? Above that? Okay. All right. Clerk, can you please do a roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Bliss. Councilman Fleming.
Here.
Councilman Meir.
Here.
Councilor Rohrbach.
Here.
Councilman Soltis.
Here.
Councilor Wright.
Here.
And Mayor Gurke.
I am here, thank you. Can I please get a motion to excuse Mayor Pro Tem Bliss? He did give notice.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion. Oh,
Pro Tem Bliss? No? Sorry.
Okay. Mr. Wright, would you like to second that?
I support.
All right, thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. He is excused. The invocation and pledge this evening will be led by me. I invite you to stand if you would like. Invocation this evening has been inspired by Mother Teresa. People are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give the world the best you've got anyway.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first up, we have approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions this evening?
Your Honor?
Yes.
I'd like to add the agenda for Consumers Energy Foundation Award to the Arts Board under item number 1 under presentations.
All right, thank you. Are there any other additions or deletions? All right, seeing none, can I get a second for that, please?
Your Honor, I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. That has been added. So first up, we have,
Your Honor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think we have to appoint the clerk.
oh, thank you. I keep missing that one. All right, can I get a motion to appoint Annette Boucher, please?
Your Honor, so moved.
Thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor. Support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. So up first, we have, we're going to do the Plant Moran financial audit presentation because we are still waiting for Consumers Energy to arrive, all their staff. So Mrs. Marsh, if you want to start this.
I'll just turn it over to Plant Moran.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Floor is yours.
Good evening. My name is Martin Olenek. I'm the partner on the audit, and with me is Keith Shemensky, who's the manager. And we're going to present to you the financial statements and the overall audit for 2023. Keith is going to go through the graphical presentation of the financial statements. There are a few documents that you have in front of you. We're not going to go.
Excuse me,
page
sorry.
by page.
Sorry, just, we are recording this. Could you speak into the microphone, please? Awesome,
Didn't know
thank
if
you.
It would be too loud if I moved it down.
Yep, thank you.
No problem. So instead of going through the financial statements page by page, Keith is going to go through the graphical presentation. The one thing that I did want to point out on the financial statements, the first couple pages is the opinion letter. That is the only item that really belongs to Plant Moran, and I did want to point out that it is a clean opinion. In accounting lingo, it's an unmodified opinion, which is exactly what you should look forward to every single year. And what that means is basically you can rely on the numbers as presented. Based on our audit, we didn't find any discrepancies or anything like that from that perspective. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Keith. Following the graphs, we're going to go through a couple letters as well. And if you have any questions throughout, please feel free to either interrupt or wait until the end, and we can address those at that point. Thank you.
Good evening. going to go through a few of the financial highlights for the last year. For the most part, it was fairly status quo, but there were a couple changes that will stick out, particularly on the first couple slides, and I'll point those out as we go through. So the first slide here is a 5-year history of general fund revenue. Total revenue for fiscal year 2023 was just under $39 million, which was an increase of about $4.5 million compared to 2022. Property tax revenue remains the largest revenue source. It accounts for about 58% of the total. As you can see, it's been steadily increasing each of the last few years and continued to increase in fiscal year 2023 by about 6.5% due to taxable value increases throughout the city. The second largest revenue source are state and federal sources. Typically, the majority of this is state shared revenue, and that continues to be the case. But in the last year, there was also a $3.1 million increase due to federal revenue being recognized, and those were the city's ARPA funds that were spent on the Civic Center improvements and recognized in fiscal year 2023. Slide number 2 is a similar 5-year history, but now we're looking at general fund expenditures. Total was $46.6 million, which was up almost $14 million from the previous year. As has been the case each year, public safety was the largest category of expenditures. It accounted for about 45% of the 2023 spending. But the increase, as you can see, was primarily due to capital outlay. There were 2 large projects, the Civic Center Improvement Project, as well as the work done at Fire Station number 2, which accounted for about $11.8 million of total spending in 2023. Also like to point out, and we'll see some graphs related to the pension and OPEB plans going forward, but the retiree health care plans are now fully funded, so there's not as much need for contributions into those plans. So instead, going forward, the city's planning to redirect a lot of that money to the police and fire retirement plan in order to get it to the state threshold of at least 60% funding. Slide number 3, we put the revenue and expenditures of the general fund side by side and also graph the fund balance as it stands at the end of each fiscal year. In 2023, as we discussed, expenditures exceeded revenue, so fund balance did decrease, but this was both expected and budgeted for the year, again, largely due to the capital spending, as well as the fact that the bond proceeds were issued prior to 2023. So those were on hand and in fund balance and then projected to be spent during the fiscal year. The target minimum fund balance for the city is 2 months of operating expenses plus the next year's debt service. So at the end of 2023, that target would stand at about $6.9 million, while the actual unrestricted fund balance was about $11.5 million. So the city had more than the desired minimum on hand, but that's a good thing and something we do recommend and suggest to local units of government, because there are more factors than just the operating expenses and the upcoming debt service that need to be considered when determining the right amount of fund balance. So the city also wants to consider future capital needs, the standing of the legacy costs, and also being prepared for certain emergencies, whether it be damages to city assets or should there be a decrease in taxable value in a future year, it'd be worthwhile to have some fund balance on hand to deal with that. So now on slide 5, we do switch gears a little bit and look at the pension and OPEB funding progress. The city has made tremendous progress in improving the funding of its plans over the last few years in particular. But there are 4 total plans, 2 for general employees, 2 for police and fire. The general pension plan, the first one listed here, is at 83% funding. That is a decrease from a year ago, but the one thing that's different about this particular plan is because it's invested in MERS, it's reported as of the MERS fiscal year end, which is December 31st of each year. So these numbers are as of the end of 2022, and as you may recall, 2022 was not a good year for market performance. So there were investment losses in that particular plan, and as of this particular snapshot in time, the funding percentage was down compared to the previous year. But fortunately, 2023 so far has been a positive year, so a good majority of those losses have already been made up to date. The second plan here, the police and fire pension plan, is 52% funded, and as I mentioned, the city is giving this some extra attention going forward and working that to get to 60% and above. Meanwhile, the two OPEB plans, which fund retiree health care, are both now more than 100% funded due to recent changes in benefit provisions. So the general plan is 135% funded. The police and fire fund is 107% funded. So this, again, it's a tremendous accomplishment. Getting retiree health care plans in particular to this level of funding is something a lot of local communities have struggled with. There's not the constitutional requirement to put contributions aside every year like there are for the pension plans. Most communities had for a long time a pay-as-you-go policy where they would pay the current benefit payments out of the general fund or the operating funds and not set aside much money in the trust. But the city for a number of years has been putting money aside in the trust. That's been growing and benefiting from investment gains. And as I mentioned with some of the recent changes in the benefit provisions, that brought down the liability as well. So the city really did a good job both reducing the liability and increasing the assets in order to get these plans to be more than fully funded as of right now. Now, that in no way is a bad thing to be fully funded. Active employees will continue to earn future benefits. The liability will likely increase as they do so, and it gets closer to having to be paid out. So these funding percentages will change over time based on market performance and updates to the valuations, but certainly being more than 100% funded is a great spot to be in. On the next slide, we look at the water and sewer fund operating results. So here, once again, we've got operating revenue and expenses side by side. Operating revenue did exceed expenditures by about $100,000 in fiscal year 2023, so net position increased. Once again here, the fund does have a strong standing amount of equity on hand as of the end of the year. But it's also important that the city continue to keep an eye on that, project out future capital costs, making sure that there's amounts on hand for both capital and debt, as well as potential emergencies. And I know the city has been factoring that in and taking into account reserves before passing on any increases in rates to residents. So that's all we had planned to cover in terms of the financial statements and the highlights for the last year. I do want to move on to one of the other deliverables in your packet, which is the Federal Awards Supplemental Information Report. This is also referred to as the Single Audit Report. One of these is required anytime an entity spends more than $750,000 of federal money in a given year. And as I mentioned, with more than $3 million being applied to the ARPA grant, that triggered the need for a single audit in 2023. So we did audit that as a major program. That was more than $3.1 million of expenses of the total $4 million of federal money spent during the year. And I'm happy to say that the overall results were very good. We had no question costs, which would be a red flag for a granting agency and perhaps an indication that some money was not spent in accordance with the federal rules. We do have just one finding included at the end of that report, and that relates to a requirement when doing a procurement, so hiring a contractor to do a significant federal project and making sure that they're not on the federal suspended or debarred list as a vendor that the city cannot do business with using federal money. In this case, there were no issues with any of the city's vendors actually being on the list. However, we were required to verify that the city checked that list ahead of time, and there was no evidence of that taking place. So that left us no choice but to point that out at the end of the single audit report. But again, the fact that the vendor was not on the list and there are no question costs would make this sort of a lesser finding than if we had some of those instances involved. So with that, we've got one more deliverable to go over, our end of audit letter, and I'm going to pass it back to Martin to do that.
Keith definitely gave me the easy portion. So the third deliverable is the post-audit letter. So before the audit started, you would have received a letter saying, like what our process is going to be like, if there's any concerns that we should be addressing from your perspective, et cetera. And this is basically a bookend to that letter. So this is called a post-audit letter. We're very innovative as an accounting group. So there's a couple of sections here. One starts on page 2, and this is basically talking about the process overall for the audit and talking about the fact that there were no disagreements with management, the audit went smoothly, and again, no findings or anything like that from that perspective. The only item was that Keith mentioned from the single audit. And And then the section 2 are legislative items, and that starts on page 4. And from, those are items that not necessarily pertain to the city only, but just kind of overall from, a federal, from a state perspective, any upcoming changes, anything that to watch out for. So we do mention a few items, for example, the COVID Resource Center, ARPA. Keep an eye out for that, like from the perspective of single audit and federal thresholds. And then one item that I do want to point out is that there's a couple of new standards that are coming out in the next couple of years. One's actually next year for compensated absences, how that liability is going to be accounted for by cities in the future. And we're going to have discussions with the city just to make sure everything's taken care of for next year. We don't expect a huge difference in the liability, but that would be, it wouldn't have an impact on the overall budgeting. It would be more on a full accrual basis, the liability that you would record. And then another one that is coming out in a couple of years is new financial reporting network, or just overall how the financial statements are going to look in the future. We're not sure exactly what's going to happen with that, but very likely I guess that the statements are going to look a little bit longer than they do right now, because I feel like nothing gets simplified. It usually gets a little bit more complicated. So those are just a couple things that are occurring and are expected to occur in the future. And I did want to say thank you so much to the city, the finance director, and just overall everybody within the city, just for all the help throughout the audit. I know it's not easy to go through all the questions, et cetera, that are on top of the everyday responsibilities that are required by the departments, and we just want to say thank you so much for all the help. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions from council? Anyone have any questions they'd like to ask? Any comments from council?
Your Honor, I'll just note that commendation to Linda Kunith and the whole finance team. I know that they work so hard to make sure that we're doing it right from beginning to end, and they don't leave any stone unturned. So I just want to say congratulations. I've been through many audits with different organizations that I've been part of, and having no findings is a great badge of honor. So congratulations.
Round of applause for Linda Kunith and her staff. Right, any other questions, comments?
Your Honor?
Yes.
So, of course, I'm all for public safety and police and fire. But seeing it go to $20 million, and it's way extended past anything, any other category, is there, are other cities, well, first of all, are other cities in the same boat? And then secondly, which I assume they are, but to what degree? And then, at some point, this is going to be a real problem, is it not?
So
It's just going to keep growing, right? It's never going to go down.
I have one comment. First of all, it will keep growing because the biggest majority of your public safety is wages.
Right.
But the reason it went from 17.6 million to 20.7 million is because we chose to put an additional $3 million into our police and fire pension system. So our police and fire pension system was below the state required minimum of 60%. It actually got down into the 40%, which means basically we only had like 47 cents for every dollar of pension we've promised the people. So when we changed the OPEB, the retiree healthcare system, and we no longer had to make contributions to that, we took that money and instead put it into the police and fire pension, and that was a $3 million additional contribution. And that is why we're not spending operation expenses. We didn't go from 17.6 to 20 million. That is purely just an additional contribution to the pension system. But public safety expenditures are not going down. The wages and the pressure on public safety for recruitment and wages to stay competitive, the pressure is only up.
I know, I understand. And that's my, kind of my question is, other cities are I assume in the same boat. I mean, this is going to keep going and going. At some point, it's going to be a problem. I mean, even a bigger problem.
I mean, so in general, I would say police and fire are definitely the biggest expense for any municipality. That's usually the service that's, I guess, most valued and necessary. So I would say this is very common occurrence with other communities as well.
Any other questions, comments? All right, so I would just like to say thank you so much for the report, and I would like to personally thank Linda Kunith and her staff This was an excellent job, and yeah, the market goes up, the market goes down, but starting the year off with 100% plus is a great way to do it. And yeah, I mean, Mrs. Marsh and her team, Adam, they have done a phenomenal job with grants. Anytime we can get a grant and we can have someone else pay for it, we take advantage of it. So the more we can do of that, the better it will be for our bottom line. But thank you to everyone involved. And thank you for the presentation this evening.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and next up, we have,
Your Honor,
oh,
before we move on to the next item, staff's recommending that appropriate action would be for council to receive and file the auditor's report.
okay. Can I get a motion to receive and file, please?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to receive and file the report.
All right, thank you. As your support?
Your Honor, I'll support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those not say no. Motion carries. That will be filed. Thank you. And next up, we have from Consumers Energy.
Hello, well, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me fine?
We can, thank you.
Okay. I am super excited to be here this evening. You may have seen a flyer here on all your seats that talk about the Madison Heights Amphitheater Prosperity Grant Awards. So Consumers Energy Foundation Prosperity Awards supports nonprofit organizations and municipalities that are committed to improving the welfare of whole communities. The Prosperity Awards, it's 1/3 of three $500,000 signature grant awards that we've done in 2023, totaling $1.5 million. The Planet Award winners were announced in April, and the People Award winners were announced in July. So for this year's Prosperity Awards, our foundation accepted letters of intent for projects supporting neighborhood revitalization and arts and culture initiatives across Michigan. The city of Madison Heights was chosen from more than 100 applicants. And as one of two 2023 Prosperity Award winners. The grant funding will support the Rock the Heights project to construct the state-of-the-art amphitheater and civic center park and serve as an inclusive community hub where people of all ages and abilities can gather in an outdoor setting. Just for your information, the other grant award winner was Sheboygan Area Arts Council. The grant funding will support improvements to the Sheboygan Opera House to ensure that facility is accessible for attendees and performers and of all physical abilities. But these awards, they serve a really important part in helping make, wonderful ideas come to light. Strengthening the community, supporting redevelopment, revitalization, arts and culture. That's why this was a particular special project for me, is I like that it encompassed all of the things that the Prosperity Awards was looking for. It's revitalization of the parks here in Madison Heights, as well as arts and culture, because I know that you're going to get continued wonderful use out of the amphitheater for your concerts, your shows, working with the schools, any of your community and nonprofit organizations. So we are super proud. I'm more than proud to invest in Madison Heights and its people with our time, our talents, and our dollars to help this community prosper. So on behalf of Consumers Energy Foundation, I am pleased to present the City of Madison Heights with the $250,000 Prosperity Award.
Oh, now I got to adjust the mic. I wanted to thank everybody in the city and from our neighboring cities who have come out to Arts Board events, who came out to the gala, who have come out to Trail Tunes, who've come out to Pride, who've come, and the people who have submitted things around our city hall and our library to enrich the community. Because I think if COVID taught us anything, it's that it's not okay just to survive, and that art helps us truly be alive. So thank you, everybody, and we will see you at the band shell.
As long as Emily's coming.
Fantastic. Just make one comment. Mike McFall, who is our state representative, is also on one of the state boards that deals with energy, and so he was here as well when we got we were getting this check. So would you be okay to get a picture with him as well? Come on. You owe me $5.
We're hoping it'll be done by. Okay, we're not gonna jinx anything. We're not gonna jinx it. Okay, follow Madison Heights Arts Board on Facebook and YouTube as well. Yeah. Do you want to say something on mic?
wanted to thank her.
Don't fold that check. That's not gonna fit in the back pocket.
It doesn't cash, so.
Oh, I can't catch that.
No.
All right, thank you, everyone. So thank you for those presentations, and thank you to Michael Covert and the rest of the Arts Board for everything that you've done bringing art and culture to the city. Next up, we have public hearings, so I'm going to get a motion from council, and then I will open the public hearing. So the first one is public hearing and resolution reprogramming community development block grant funds. Can I get a motion from council, please?
Your Honor.
In the public hearing, I would request that you open the public hearing first before requesting a motion.
All right, so we will do it that way then. All right, so I'm going to open the public hearing, and then I will take a motion from council. So first is anyone in the public, we will open the public to anything that you want to speak about, but right now, this is specifically public hearing resolution reprogramming for the community development block grant funds. If anyone wishes to speak about this specifically? All right, seeing no one, I'm going to open the public, should I?
Close.
Mr. Sherman, I'm going to close the public, should I open the other one and do the separate?
No.
Okay. All right, so then can I get a motion for the first public hearing and resolution?
Your Honor. I move that council approves resolution authorizing Community and Economic Development Department to prepare and submit a request to Oakland County to reprogram $50,000 from Code Enforcement Program Year 2020 to to the minor home repair account, and that the City of Madison Heights authorizes the filing of said program of funds with Oakland County.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor, support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
yeah, I want to know, can we get an explanation about the, because it's kind of confusing to me too, from reading it, about the transfer, the 50,000, was that unused funds that was not used in 2022 that was brought forward to 2023, basically, or?
Your Honor, it is, this is programming funding from prior years, so we, in the past, have used CDBG funding to pay for part of the code enforcement. Well, when we changed, we had a code enforcement officer retire, and we hired a new person at different wages and different benefit levels, so we weren't spending that full allocation through CDBG. So the money has been sitting there, and we've been using it since 2020. Oakland County came out, met with Giles, and explained that they have a spending ratio of 1.5% of your funds, and we are below that because we're not spending our money fast enough. So they've given us until April of 2024 to spend the money a little faster. So therefore, we're asking to reprogram those extra funds that we had in code enforcement for the differences of the wages and the benefits, instead to put that to minor home repair. So it'll be a faster expenditure of the money. The minor home repair applicants have already been identified through the city's currently minor home repair program and have already been vetted by Oakland County. So we should be able to spend the money before April.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, so we've actually closed public comment for this, sorry, but, I will ask Mrs. Marsh to answer
Oakland
it.
County Planning, Oakland County gets community development block grant funding through their planning department, and they give it out to subrecipients, so communities are around in Oakland County.
Okay, is there anyone else on council has any comments, questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. And then I'm going to open the public hearing for public hearing and resolution authorizing Community Development Block Grant Program Year 2024 application. This is the opportunity for anyone in the public who wishes to speak specifically about this item. All right, seeing none, I'm going to close public comment and ask for a motion from council to approve, please.
Your Honor, I move that council authorizes, well, actually, start. I move the council funds, funds PY 2024 as follows: the senior service, lawn cutting service at $20,603, code enforcement at $50,000, and sidewalks at $66,756 for an anticipated allocation of $137,359.
All right, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor,
Yes.
support.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor.
Yes?
Yeah, I'd like to say that I think these are some good allocations that we have for this. We have the seniors are being helped by the lawn cutting service. You have code enforcement who can help out fight the blight and other enforcement actions in our downtown area and, everywhere else. And then also the sidewalks, which also contains the pedestrian amenities for the streetscape in the report from the CED. And for instance, we're going to be getting, they'll help out like putting, benches and other things like that around the sidewalks and help out that, make it more walkable downtown area. So I really think these are well thought out.
All right, thank you. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. I'm now going to open the meeting to the public. This is the opportunity for the public to speak on any topic. I ask that you speak at the podium.
Your Honor, I'm sorry to interrupt. I think we had a second motion that we had to do for that. No, didn't we have to have a second motion authorizing the application to be submitted? to Oakland County? Did I, I feel like I didn't do my motion right if there was a second motion. Am I correct?
I thought your first motion was okay, but Larry is pointing out that there's a second on here. But the first one was to hold the public hearing, and the second one was to authorize the CDBG program year 2024 application to be submitted with the items that we have there.
So do we need another
Do
motion?
we need a second motion?
I mean, I think you need to, what was the motion that was made? Can you read that back?
I made the motion allocating the funds with the anticipated amounts. But I did not indicate the inclusion in annual action plan to the U.S. Housing and Urban Development Department, and the
I
authorizing
think that the
signing of
motion is-
documents.
I think the motion is fine because by approving the allocations, you have authorized the staff to write the application for what you have authorized it for, which is the purpose of this language under number 2.
Sorry.
It's okay. Thanks for checking that.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to open to the public. I ask that you address me and you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, but please, the floor is yours.
Sorry to come in all bundled up, but I've been out in the cold all day. I'm Deb Van Slyke and had the privilege to vote on the recent election for council, and I'd asked 3 of the council if they had an opportunity, if they could come by our neighborhood at Andover and I-75, and I just wondered if they were able to do it. I know 75 is a federally funded project, however, it is impacting Brettonwood subdivision and any of the subdivisions that are right on 75 to the point we're getting woke up at 2, 3 in the morning. I mean, it's a constant problem. They did not put up the proper walls that we had before, so environmental equality, we don't have it. And I'd just like to see if we could get some support from council with it because it's just unbearable. I mean, I would probably say 4 to 5 days a week, I'm woke up anywhere from 1 till 3 in the morning, and once I'm awake for the day. And it's a lot to deal with, and I'm not the only one. I've spoke with a lot of neighbors, and I'd just like to see what can we do as a community to get them to take those little squatty walls down and put up the ones that we had before, which were probably 25 to 30 feet tall, and they were real brick, not, foam bricked or whatever they want to call the ones that are now. So is there any possibility that we could get some support with that? And did any of the council have the chance to go by and listen to see how loud it is? And it's not just here or there, it's 24/7. That, I mean, you could literally be vibrated out of bed or off the toilet. It's not good. So any of the council that I saw on election, it would have been Emily, Sean, and then, were you able to go by? What did you think about it?
Okay. Thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to this evening?
Pardon me?
Is there anything else this evening?
No.
Okay.
I mean, just, we'd like to get some support and find out what we can do as a community because this isn't going to go away. And how many nights and days do you have to have your sleep interrupted? I mean, I've had family members fall asleep at red lights. It's not good.
Okay.
To have a police officer come and knock on your window, hello? It's a light, you have to go, but, it's a lot to handle, so if we could get support, we'd really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this evening, any topic? Please. Oh, sorry. Jennifer.
Good evening, everyone. I'm State Representative Mike McFall, and as many of you know, we are actually on recess now. The legislature is no longer in session we ended the year. I did want to touch on, Dave, your point about the public safety, because we actually did pass a public safety and violence prevention fund. It's not going to solve all of those problems, but it will be additional funding that will be coming to the city, and it'll be based on violence, percentage of violence, and a bunch of other different things. But I do know Madison Heights is on the list for actually receiving funds. So I don't have that number off the top of my head, but when I have it, I think the city manager and I have spoken, I believe, about this. But I just wanted to give a quick update on that, which is great. So feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to give you guys my cell phone number. I think most of you probably have it already. But thank you, and happy holidays.
Thank you, State Representative. Is there anyone else? Yes.
Martha Kohler, Edward Avenue. I saw this. I am so excited about this. This park has been basically the same since I was small, a couple years ago. But with this, what can be done in our parks, the Arts Board, and Melissa, I know you and Adam had a lot to do with this too. You guys have like taken our city to another level. That makes me so proud. But that's all.
All right, thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak any topic? All right, I'm going to close public comment, and we're going to move to the consent agenda. There are 3 items. Number 5, the Director of Public Services, removal of the former Active Adult Center street lighting. 6, the City Council special meeting minutes of November 8th, and then 7, the council meetings from November 16th, which was our rescheduled meeting from the 13th. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
Your Honor,
Yes.
motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there support? Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
one amendment to the council regular meeting minutes of November 16th. I was present at the meeting, and my name should be substituted for Jeff's.
All right, thank you.
At both the 35th, the 34th, and the 35th councils.
All right. Clerk, can you please make that change? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Is there any other comments or changes? Anything? All right, seeing none, all in favor with that one change, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Motion carries. And that is it for our regular meeting, so I'm going to invite closing comments, starting with Councilman Muir.
Thank you. I hope everybody had an enjoyable Thanksgiving and enjoying this lovely cold weather that's finally moved in. It is November in Michigan, though, so I guess you gotta expect it. Santa must have brought it with him, so. Great to see the lights go on when the number hits 0. That was always exciting. My grandson will be excited about coming and checking them out because he thought they were broke last time he was here.
Oh.
That's about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's right.
Just a quick note to the resident who came and spoke. I did check out the noise. It is incredibly loud, and I guess I would ask staff to see if we can reach out to the state and the departments to see what we can do about that. I know they've had similar issues in Troy, and the residents were able to get them to take action. So I would just ask our staff to check into it. But thank you for coming out and speaking. That's exactly the feedback we need.
All right, thank you. Mr. Sherman?
Hope everyone had a nice Thanksgiving. Sorry I'm sounding like Mr. Froggy tonight, but happy holidays to everybody. That's it, Your Honor.
Mrs. Marsh?
I just want to say thank you to the DPS and Parks and Recreation for the great tree lighting, although I didn't stay out there for an hour, only a few minutes, but it was well attended and they did a very good job. And thank you to the Finance Department. It is always nice to listen to the audit presentation, give praises, so that was good news as well. That's it.
All right, thank you. Anything from the clerk's office this evening? No, thank you. Thank you, Councilor Rohrbach.
Just real quickly, I also did drive out to the Brentwoods neighborhood, and it is extraordinarily loud. And I concur with Councilor Wright. We're asking the city staff to look into how we can advocate for you on behalf of the city. And also, I think that it's something that the Human Relations and Equity Commission should be taking up and discussing. So we have a meeting tomorrow, and we'll be discussing it at that meeting. I also wanted to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I know that holidays can be wonderful, and they can also be trying and exhausting and scary for many people. So, I just want to, put it out there that, if you're struggling, reach out, because I know that there are resources out there for people when they're struggling, and we want to make sure that you get connected to those resources, so please do reach out. I want to say thank you to all the people who made tonight possible, all the volunteers who came out, manned the different tables, the staff who worked overtime to make all of this happen, the DPS, the parks folks, everybody. It was so beautiful and it was well done. I also want to thank the Mrs. and Mr. Garvey, who are the band directors for all of our Lamphere schools, from elementary all the way through high school. They take it upon themselves as the band directors to work with these kids. And my boys, I have twin boys who are in 5th grade, and so they are in band for the first time. And it is not an easy thing to teach 5th graders band. And they have, this concert tonight. I know the Lamphere Band had a concert I think Paige had it last week, and all of the elementary school have band concerts this week. It's a lot of work. And those folks, I have a degree in music education, and that is not an easy job, no matter where you are or what you're doing. But for some reason, to me, especially band, is very hard. So I just want to say thank you to them for the work that they're doing to bring music to our children, to our community, and bringing that to kids starting at a very young age. It's a very powerful thing. And finally, I want to say that the Human Relations and Equity Commission is working on a community cookbook. So be on the lookout. They had flyers out there at the table this evening with how to submit recipes. We're going to be collecting recipes from people from all over the city, because we want to celebrate everyone and their personal culture, the cultures of their families, their history, and we want to bring that together to be able to create an actual cookbook that our community can look at and be like, wow, this is Madison Heights. Look at this beautiful menagerie of all of the different ways that we are and that we can be for the city of Madison Heights. So please, as you're seeing those, the flyers and the sign up to submit your recipe start being distributed, take a look at them, grab them, and start submitting those recipes. We're going to take them for several months. So, but especially those holiday meals, I think those are sometimes the most special ones that people really think of as like, they go back to their roots and they think about what they can share. So I know our family will be sharing my husband's pasty recipe. So if for nothing else, you can get that cookbook. All right, that's all I've got tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Fleming?
Yeah, we mentioned tonight about the police budget, and I just want to let everybody know that the police budget, we have a lot of things that are going on. We have a lot of new officers in the last year that we've brought on board. I'm the council rep on the crime commission. We're having to actually give more incentives to officers to get them to come from other departments and to join us here at our city. It's very competitive. Along also with the fact that the fire department's got a new ladder truck, brand new EMS trucks in the last year, and other vehicles for the police department that's been updated. Along with the, just overall, we had a brand new fire department redo that was done, and has amenities for female firefighters that we have several of. And so there's a lot of money that's put into these funds that I don't want to see them cut. They're going to get larger. I think that we really need to make sure that our first responders are paid well and they have the best equipment, and that's really important. I want to talk about the different commissions, like the Historical Commission. We're doing a cleanup this tomorrow from 1 to 4 at the Heritage Rooms that are in the basement of the City Hall. And all the commissions and committees need a lot of volunteers. We have a lot of elder people that really have an issue with mobility issues that are on the commissions. They're very helpful for our commissions and committees, but we need some younger people that are going to be able to help us move stuff and maybe bring more ideas also to these commissions and committees. So if you're still wanting to help out, you don't even have to be on a committee or a commission to help out. You can just show up. I was at the area that was around 11 Mile, south of 11 Mile near I-75. It is very, very noisy. I was sitting in one person's home, and even closer to the split where 696 is, and it's very, very noisy. And so I do have the contact myself for the project manager for the MDOT project for the I-75 project. I'll email them and see maybe we can possibly get he can come and maybe we can set up a town hall or something like that where residents can come in and voice the complaints again to the MDOT. Maybe the city manager could set that up. I get the two people to talk, and then we can set it up, and people can voice their concerns, and we can work through it. And I'd like to say tonight, the band was good, and I was kind of worried that Santa Claus was going to slip on the stage. It was very slippery, but there was nothing happened, and it was a great night. So.
Thank you. Mr. Soltis?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. I too want to thank all the residents that came out tonight, with all that cold and weather bolding that, but, and then thanks for Santa Claus and of course the Lanphier Band, which they were fantastic. And so you might have noticed that the Grinch wasn't there tonight. I think he, for some reason, he took a day off. But you probably will see him at the library when they have their indoor Christmas book. And so just keep an eye out for that one. And also, I was another one that was by that area. And of course, it is, like everyone said, noisy. I think you said about something about speeding as well. And so I did actually notice that a couple times. So, but we'll certainly look into it. And then I appreciate our state rep for showing up. Thank you very much. And that's all.
Thank you. So I was also out at the Bretton Woods area, and I know that staff is looking into it. So we will see if there's something we can do. And, I mean, it might be a town hall. We'll have to follow up on that. But we'll see if there's something that we can do. Unfortunately, different levels of government don't necessarily communicate and don't necessarily listen to us. But we'll see what we can do about that, because I agree. I mean, it is excessively loud. I want to thank everyone who came out for the tree lighting, the boards and the volunteers who helped with that, to the Lanphier Band, and everyone who was on there. I was getting off the stage, and I saw a little girl that I knew since she was 3. She's a senior now, not so little. And it's just, it's just amazing when kids grow up, who they become. So, yeah, it was great. I love this event. I've been coming to this for years when my kids were little. And so I just want to thank everyone for coming out to that, and to thank all our volunteers. This was the first time that we did our volunteer awards in this manner. I think we have some kinks to work out, but I think it did work out. So I want to thank everyone who has helped and put their time into this. I mean, the thing with a volunteer is that you can walk away at any time. So when you take on a job as a volunteer, you're doing it because you want to. So really appreciate everything that all our volunteers have done. I want to thank Consumers Energy again for the check, for the band shell. Looking forward to having different events there, hosting that. We'll be doing the ribbon cutting in the warmer weather, which will hopefully be, I'm potentially in time for our Memorial Day parade, but if not, it should be up. It's scheduled to be up for the festival, so we will see. I mean, we never know how these things work out, but we're working on it as much as we can. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving and is getting in the holiday spirits. Please do remember that this time of year, as much as there's jolly and festivity, there are people who have blue holidays. They get the holiday blues, and it's it could be the first time they're celebrating without a loved one. So just keep that in mind. I also want to again thank Linda Kunath for the awesome work that she's doing with the finance department. Really appreciate that. I've got a finance background, and as does Mrs. Marsh, and so just knowing that we are where we're at. It's because of the two of you. Mrs. Marsh set it up, and Linda, you came in and you took over, and you've done phenomenal. So thank you. I want to personally thank you for that. I want to also, and finally, thank the Arts Board for the gala. It was a week and a half ago. Most of council was there. A couple of council members were unable to attend, but it was great. We had the water table, but not all of us were water. There was, I think, one table that was all fire. They were red hot. And so So that was great, and it was so nice because it wasn't just people from Madison Heights who were there, and that was really nice because was a community event. And as I was leaving, this one young woman came over to introduce herself, and she said she just moved here from out of state, and she basically went online and found this event. And I was like, oh, wow. And then I introduced her to someone I said, do you know this person? Someone who is more of a similar age. And she's like, yeah, they ended up, I think, at the same table and they met. And I'm like, this is great. This is what we need. We need more events like this. So awesome job from the Arts Board for that. I really appreciate that. And that is it for me. Our next meeting is going to be our next regular meeting is going to be Monday, December 11th. The time is now 8:27, and this meeting is adjourned. Good night.
I did. It was made out of.